At 68, I thought I understood family loyalty. I thought protecting your children meant overlooking their flaws, that love meant never keeping score. I was wrong about so many things. My name is Eleanor Rosewood, and the night I played that recording wasn't about revenge, it was about 30 years of swallowed words finally demanding to be heard. When my father raised his glass at my graduate school celebration and said, "Your sister would have done better," something inside me quietly broke. Not with the sharp crack of sudden trauma, but with the weary sigh of a foundation that had been crumbling for decades. I reached into my purse, found my phone, and let Caroline's own voice tell the truth I'd been carrying alone. I was 12 when I first understood that love in our house was a finite resource, and Caroline had claimed most of it before I could even speak. She was 3 years older, effortlessly beautiful, with this magnetic way of drawing people in. I stood beside her like a shadow, dark-haired, serious, forgettable. The pattern established itself early. Caroline got the window seat, her artwork on the refrigerator, lunch money delivered when she forgot it. I learned to go hungry quietly. Caroline would break something, and I'd get lectured about being careful. She'd fail a test, and I'd be told to help her study more. I became an expert at making myself smaller so Caroline could shine brighter. While she charmed her way through life, I earned straight A's that nobody noticed. I played 3 instruments, volunteered, tutored kids in math achievements that felt like currency I could never successfully trade for affection. By high school, I'd perfected the art of being simultaneously indispensable and invisible. I helped Caroline with college applications while filling out my own in secret. The Christmas of my junior year crystallized everything. I'd spent months preparing for academic competitions, earning perfect SAT scores, researching scholarships. Caroline had spent the semester failing chemistry. Yet when relatives asked about achievements, Dad beamed about Caroline's social development while mentioning my success as an afterthought. That night, surrounded by honor roll certificates nobody had hung, I promised myself college would be different. But family dynamics are like gravity, they pull you back even when you think you've escaped. Caroline was 25 when she decided to go back to school, and suddenly our childhood roles snapped back into place. While I'd been grinding through engineering school on scholarship, working 2 jobs, she'd been finding herself in coffee shops. Our parents called it exploring options. They called my focus career pursuit, limiting potential. When Caroline enrolled in communications, it was treated like the second coming. Phone calls home became unbearable. 20 minutes about Caroline's dorm drama, polite disinterest about my 60-hour work weeks while earning my master's degree. Caroline had this gift for turning struggles into charming stories, failures into endearing quirks. Professors extended deadlines, classmates shared notes. She collected support like stamps, while I was building something real through precision and dedication. The breaking point came Thanksgiving of Caroline's junior year. I'd just been promoted to senior engineer, leading a project that could revolutionize solar panel efficiency, work that might impact millions of lives. When I mentioned it, Dad nodded politely and asked if I was seeing anyone. 10 minutes later, Caroline's story about a professor calling her naturally charismatic had the table erupting in excitement. That's when I realized I wasn't just being overlooked, I was being actively diminished to make room for Caroline's perpetual ascension. The call came on a Tuesday night in March. Caroline's voice was stretched thin with panic about her senior capstone project, a comprehensive research study determining whether she'd graduate on time. "I'm completely lost," she cried. "The methodology is too complex, the data analysis impossible. If I fail this, I don't graduate, and you know what that would do to Mom and Dad." She wasn't asking for help, she was demanding it, using my love and fear of family disappointment as leverage. I spent that Saturday teaching her an entire graduate-level course in compressed time over video call: statistical software, research, design, data interpretation, academic writing, 6 hours of intensive tutoring. 2 weeks later, she called again. When I asked to see her progress, her work looked identical to my examples: same formatting, language, methodological approach. She hadn't been learning, she'd been copying. "We need to start over," I said. "You need to develop your own methodology." "But I don't have time. Can't you just help me polish what I have?" That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I told Caroline I'd help once more, but wanted to record our session for her to review later. The call was devastating. For 2 hours, Caroline asked me to dictate her analysis while she typed. No attempt to understand concepts, no curiosity about methodology. When I tried explaining the reasoning, she'd cut me off. Can you just give me the answer? I'd essentially completed her project while she served as glorified transcriptionist. I saved the recording, Caroline cheating final project, MP3. I told myself I'd never use it, just insurance. But I kept it, carried it like a secret weight that grew heavier every time Caroline was praised for her brilliant work. Every time our parents marveled at her academic turnaround. The restaurant was one of those places trying too hard. Cloth, napkins, ambient lighting, theatrical servers. I'd just completed my master's in mechanical engineering with a 3.9 GPA while working full-time. 3 years of night classes, weekend study sessions, sacrificed social life. I'd published papers, earned recognition for sustainable energy research, and had dream job offers. But watching Caroline charm the server, I felt familiar invisibility settling over me. I described my new position at a renewable energy firm, the innovative projects, and the opportunity to impact climate change. Caroline listened with glazed attention, then smoothly redirected to her hypothetical internship at a PR firm. Our parents responded with equal interest to her entirely fictional opportunity. When Dad raised his glass, I thought it was finally my toast. My heart lifted as he began. I want to say how proud we are. The dedication, the perseverance, but his eyes were on Caroline. Caroline, watching you complete your degree has been one of the greatest joys of your mother's and my life. Your capstone project was truly impressive. Your professor couldn't stop raving about your analytical skills. The words hit like a physical blow. He was toasting my sister at my graduation dinner, praising academic work I'd essentially completed for her. Then he turned to me with an afterthought smile. And of course, we're proud of you too, sweetheart. Though I have to say, if Caroline had chosen engineering, she probably would have done even better. The casual cruelty was suffocating, suggesting my life's work was something my sister could have done better as a hobby. Something crystalline and clear shifted inside me. This was the moment I'd unconsciously waited for my entire life. My hand moved to my purse almost without thought. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth. I wanted them to see Caroline clearly, just once, without the golden filter of favoritism. I pressed play. Caroline's voice filled the restaurant with crystal clarity. Can't you just tell me what to write? I don't understand any of this methodology stuff. Our table stopped mid-sentence. Mom's fork hovered. Dad's wine glass froze. Caroline went completely white. My recorded voice came through patiently and explanatory, followed by Caroline asking me to dictate statistical interpretations, begging for answers to her own research project. 2 hours of academic dishonesty, condensed into damning highlights. I watched my family's faces as truth played out in my sister's voice. Dad's expression moved from confusion to comprehension to something like physical pain. When the recording ended, the silence was deafening. It's not what it sounds like, Caroline whispered. That's what sisters do, support each other. Support, Dad repeated slowly. Is that what you call having someone else complete your coursework? I could have let her minimize it, frame it as a momentary lapse. But years of invisibility crystallized into brutal honesty. It wasn't just once. I helped with research methods, statistics, and literature review. The only original work in your degree was your name on the diploma. Caroline crumpled, looking like the little girl who cried when she didn't get her way. But I was done being moved by her tears. I'm not stupid, she protested. No, I agreed. You're lazy and dishonest. And you've been getting away with both so long you've forgotten the difference between earning something and taking it. The cruelty of my words surprised me. I'd never spoken to Caroline like this. Never stripped away protective layers to expose raw truth. I reached for my purse and stood. I need some air. As I walked toward the exit, I heard Dad behind me. Caroline, we need to talk about what this means for your degree. For the first time in my life, Caroline's crisis wasn't my problem to solve. The next few days brought phone calls I didn't answer, texts I didn't return. Caroline tried everything: apologies, explanations, accusations, threats. Mom called Thursday. This family is falling apart. No, I said. This family fell apart long ago. I just stopped pretending otherwise. I was labeled unforgiving, cruel, jealous. My decision to expose Caroline's cheating was reframed as a vindictive attack on a trusting sister. Caroline became the victim. I became the villain who'd harbored secret resentment. It would have been devastating if I'd still been invested in their approval. But something had shifted that night, fundamental disconnection that made their opinion irrelevant. 2 weeks later, I accepted a job in Seattle. Clean energy startup, innovative work, 2,800 miles from a family that never quite knew what to do with me. I didn't make big announcements, just packed, found a tenant, arranged movers. When Mom called about Caroline's birthday, I said I couldn't make it. Why not? I'm moving to Seattle for work. You're leaving because of what happened at dinner. I'm leaving because I got an amazing opportunity. But yes, that dinner helped me realize I needed changes. Seattle felt like stepping into sunlight after years in a basement. Colleagues judged me on work, not family dynamics. I could be competent without being invisible, successful without being resented. I bought a house with mountain views, adopted a dog, and made friends who knew me independently. 6 months later, Caroline graduated. I learned through social media photos captioned, "So grateful for my family's support." No mention of integrity investigations or help received. It's been 2 years since that dinner. I exchange holiday cards with parents, occasional weather and work phone calls. They've stopped asking when I'm visiting. I don't hate them. Hate requires emotional investment I no longer possess. Some families teach love, others teach resilience. I've published research making differences in sustainable energy, been promoted twice, traveled to conferences in countries I'd only dreamed of visiting. Most importantly, I've learned the difference between being alone and being lonely. I spent years isolated in a family that supposedly loved me. Now I live independently and feel more connected than ever. Last month, I received Caroline's engagement invitation addressed to Dr. Elena Rosewood, finally acknowledging my doctoral degree. I felt an unexpected indifference. I didn't RSVP, just recycled the invitation and continued my evening reviewing clean energy grant proposals. The recording still exists on my phone, though I haven't listened since that night. It reminds me not of what I destroyed, but what I finally preserved. My own worth, independent of their validation. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling dysfunction. Sometimes walking away isn't abandonment, it's the only honest response to being erased. I am enough. I was always enough. It just took 30 years and one devastating dinner to remember. The silence that night wasn't the sound of family breaking apart. It was the sound of one person finally, quietly, choosing herself.